Thank you for seeing me. I've been having the same bad dream every night for the past 8 months. It's exhausting. I can't sleep. I can't focus. Starting to feel like I'm losing my mind. I drove here from out of state because I heard you're the best there is at dealing with dreams and nightmares. I'm really hoping you can help me make it stop.
Can you describe the dream for me?
Yes. Okay, so the first thing I remember, I'm back in the house I grew up in. It's late on Christmas Eve, and I'm spying on Santa Claus as he's getting ready to leave us toys. My dad used to dress up as Santa every year and put all our presents under the tree. My little brother and I would sneak out of our rooms and spy on him. I always was a bit scared we'd get caught, but this time it's different. It isn't my dad, it's the real Santa Claus, so I'm way more scared than normal. For some reason, I'm watching him through some kind of glass or screen, so I feel a little safer. I know how silly that sounds, but it's a dream, so none of it makes any sense. So I'm hiding there, watching Santa do his thing when I feel a chill come over me. Suddenly I hear a bear wrestling in the bushes. I don't know why there's bushes inside my house, but again, it's a dream. And this startles me. Santa hears it too and starts looking around for it, like frantically, like it scares him even more than it does me. Then the worst part happens. Santa and I, we spot the bear at the same time, and I get completely overwhelmed with terror. Seeing the bear scares me more than anything ever has or ever should. And I wake up, like, just so agitated that my heart is racing, and I can't go back to sleep. It is always the same dream. I don't know why I'm having it. I just want it to stop.
Let's start connecting some of the dots with what you've told me. Mm-hmm. I'll explain how this works. I've made a list of all the topics you mentioned in your dream. For example, you mentioned both fear and your father. If I ask you about these together, I want you to tell me whatever comes to your mind first. It might be a time when you were afraid of your father, or a fear he had that you remember, or even someone you know who was very afraid of your father. The key here is to speak freely about what you feel has the strongest connection in your mind. If other topics come up while we're talking, I'll add those to our list. This approach will help peel back the layers of your dream. By exploring these connections, we aim to uncover what your subconscious might be trying to communicate. Through this technique, we'll gradually get to the root of these nightmares. Eventually, that will lead us to insights we need, and you can start sleeping peacefully again.
My mom loved taking me to see Santa every year, usually right after Thanksgiving. She'd dress me up in some kind of cute festive outfit, and we'd get to the mall, and there'd be this massive line of kids, and all squirming and excited. And she'd chat with me, telling me how I should ask Santa for what I really wanted and not to be shy. And when it was finally my turn, I'd climb up onto Santa's lap, feeling this mixture of awe and slight fear. Yeah, there's something a little intimidating about being face to face with this larger-than-life figure who supposedly knows if you've been naughty or nice all year. Yeah. I was never really afraid of my dad. He wasn't one of those stereotypical scary dads you see in movies or hear about from friends. He was more like this, big comforting presence. A few of my friends talked about their dads like they were scary. Oh, my college roommate was always nervous around hers. But not the way you might think. He was actually pretty nice. It wasn't fear of him as a person. I think she was just obsessed with earning his approval. Yeah, she cared, probably to an unhealthy degree, about what he thought of her. It always felt a little out of character because she was so pragmatic about everything else. But then again, I think he might have been pretty rich, so maybe part of it was about not wanting to get cut off or left out of the will. Let's talk about fear in Santa Claus. Of all the mythical creatures I could dream about, I just don't get why I'd be afraid of Santa Claus. I mean, seriously. Santa is one of the only nice mythical creatures out there. The guy brings presents, eats cookies, and spreads joy. What is there to be scared of? Now, if I were walking around my house and saw Cthulhu or a Hydra, I'd totally get being scared. I mean, those are the kind of creatures that give you nightmares. Santa Claus just doesn't make any sense to me. I can't wrap my head around why my brain would pick him to be the scary one in my dreams. I have a pretty vivid memory related to bears from when I was a kid. So my school was right near some woods, so every once in a while they'd make an announcement over the PA system that recess would be indoors because a bear had been spotted nearby. And most of the other kids hated it when it happened. I mean, they'd groan and complain about not getting to play outside. But honestly, I kind of liked it. It was usually too cold outside anyway, and indoor recess meant we could play games or read, which, I preferred anyway. Yeah, in college, my only real friend was my roommate, Sophia. We both kept to ourselves, so our friend group never really grew beyond the two of us. It wasn't that we didn't get along with other people. We just weren't that social. And honestly, that worked just fine for us. Our curriculum kept us pretty busy, so there wasn't time for much else. Anyway. My dad definitely had some toys of his own. He was a big fan of TV and movies and was especially obsessed with the original Star Trek series. He even owned several props from the show, including Leonard Nimoy's tricorder and Walter Koenig's phaser. Those props were like sacred artifacts in our home. He always said we couldn't touch them because they were collector's items, but I knew they were really just Dad's very expensive toys. My younger brother Tommy always tried to talk me into letting him play with them whenever we were left at home alone. I started telling him it was too dangerous because they were real and actually worked. He was only 5, so he believed me. It's funny. I always kind of resented it when my parents told me that kind of lie, but as soon as I was left in charge of my brother, I did the same thing to him. I'm a little disappointed in myself for that. When you're a kid, your friend options are basically limited to whoever in your class or whoever lives next to you. That is it. You don't get to be picky. If someone happens to like the same things you do, that's your friend now. Doesn't matter if they're annoying, if you have nothing else in common, shared interests, that's all it took. For me, it was sci-fi and video games. If another kid liked Star Trek or happened to be playing the same video game I was, yeah, that was enough. We were friends, at least until the next school year. That makes me think of growing up in Scranton. I didn't have some horrible school experience, but I got picked on a lot. You know, usual stuff, quiet kid, weird interests, easy target. It wasn't all bad, but it definitely left a mark. I have a few bullies I'll never forget. Sometimes I wonder if I left a mark on anyone else, like not in a good way. Maybe I said something that hit wrong and stuck. Maybe somebody out there hears my voice when they can't sleep, and not for a reason I'd be proud of. I hope not, but I figure there's probably at least one person who thinks of me as one of the awful people from their past they can't shake. And the worst part is, if they do, I might not even remember them at all. I was in line waiting to see Ready Player One when I spotted a coworker, Scott, waiting in line with his girlfriend. I never really talked to him much before that, and we started chatting, and it turned out he was just as nerdy as I am. They're now my 2 closest friends. Oh, that's an easy one. My dad was a huge Trekkie and took me to my first Star Trek convention. It was in Philadelphia, and it was also the first time I ever traveled outside of the immediate area, at least that I can remember. And it was also the first time I've ever been in a place where I had a shared interest with everybody else. It was awesome. I loved seeing the people walking around, dressed up in their Starfleet uniforms. We also got to watch The Trouble with Tribbles in a room packed full of other Trekkies. And then, topping the night off, we got to see William Shatner take the stage and give a talk that was surprisingly funny. There was this whole floor dedicated to selling Star Trek merchandise, but we didn't buy much there. Dad said all the really good stuff was sold at the live auction. He ended up buying a prop phaser from the original series. I don't remember how much he paid for it, but I remember my mom wasn't too pleased about it when we told her about it. I went on a trip once with Scott to a Star Trek convention in Denver. His girlfriend Sara isn't into Star Trek, so she didn't want to come. And it was not awkward at all. Scott and I are like siblings, and all three of us know it, so Sara had no issue with us going alone. When I think of travel and a bear, I can't help but remember this road trip my mom took me on. We went to this tiny zoo in some small town nobody's ever heard of because they had a new panda exhibit. The trip went so badly, it was almost funny. I mean, sure, the zoo did have pandas, but almost every other animal they had were animals people commonly keep as pets, like snakes, ferrets, and rabbits. It was like we drove all that way just to visit a glorified pet store. And to top it off, it was the middle of winter, so the zoo was freezing. We were bundled up like we were trekking through the Arctic, and yet still freezing. When I think about my father and travel, the first thing that comes to mind is how much we love going to conventions together. Yeah, it was our special thing, just me and him. My mom was never really into that stuff, so it was the perfect father-daughter bonding time. We'd pack up and head out to all sorts of conventions, Comic-Con, Star Trek conventions, you name it. He got me hooked. And now I still go to Comic-Con every year. When I think of Scranton and my childhood, one of the first things that comes to mind is death. My mom died when I was very young, and then a few years later, my little brother passed away too. That was rough. My mother died from cancer. It happened slowly, and I saw her get worse and worse right up until she was gone. And my brother Tommy's death was much more sudden. He was murdered during a break-in when he was very young. My dad was working overnight, and it was just me and Tommy at home. It happened late, and I was asleep when it all went down. I didn't even know anything had happened until my dad came home and woke me up. The police said Tommy was shot once, and he died instantly. There were obvious signs of robbery, but the burglar didn't take much. The worst part? I was supposed to be looking after Tommy, and I didn't even wake up from the gunshot. So yeah, I don't have a lot of good childhood memories from Scranton. We had a couple of dogs that were part of the family, but my younger brother turned out to be allergic to them. I remember how devastated I was when my parents sat us down and explained that Tommy's allergies were getting worse and we had to get the dogs away. I mean, we found good homes for them, but it didn't make the goodbye any easier. I moved into a new apartment less than a year ago, and for the first time in my life, I have a place that allows pets. So I have a dog now for the first time since I was very young. He's a Chihuahua named Spock. You mean like a Barbie dream house? No, I never had one. But back in college, studying criminology, we played with model houses all the time. It was part of our training exercises. I actually had to use one now that I'm coroner. Okay, I was working on this Ravenwood case, right? Historian guy, dead in his house, walls covered in what looked like protection spells straight out of local folklore. He died from blunt force trauma, and his Ring camera caught just one visitor that whole day. Classic case of murder, or manslaughter at least. But hold on, here's the kicker. The defendant claims he and the victim were attacked by the Rougarou. That's this mythical creature from local Louisiana folklore. He even described it to a sketch artist after he was arrested. He stuck to that story in court, so they called me in to testify. So there I am, lugging this miniature house into court, having to stand there and show a bunch of supposedly sane adults that were dealing with a mundane human altercation, not some monster mash. Just another day at the office for me, using dollhouse furniture to debunk the existence of mythical creatures in a full courtroom. Dealing with death every day messes with your head a little, a lot. Not in the way people think. It's not the bodies that get to you, it's the stories. Every one of them is connected to some crime or tragedy. I have had cases where a single decision ruined 5 lives in 10 seconds. Like stupid, reckless stuff, like drunken fights, botched robberies, revenge plans that spiraled out of control. Even small crimes can spiral until someone ends up on the table. When I graduated college, I didn't know much about New Orleans. I was just looking for a place to start my career, and it turned out that the best job offer came from New Orleans. So I packed up and made the move, not really knowing what to expect. Now I absolutely love it there. I couldn't imagine moving anywhere else. Well, Santa is a criminal, if you think about it. He breaks into over 1 million houses every year. You can't just break into someone's house and leave them presents. He even seems like a criminal in my dream. He has a sack and he's quietly gathering our presents from the dresser drawer. It's almost like he's robbing us. Wait a minute. He is robbing us. Wait, I remember a little more from my dream now, okay? I was in the hallway, looking into my parents' bedroom as he was filling his sack. I'm being quiet as I can, hoping he doesn't hear me, and I'm feeling this chill from the window. He came in. He's not Santa Claus at all. He's just some guy. Yeah, I was peeking around the corner, watching him from the reflection in my mom's vanity mirror, hoping he wouldn't see me. He's stuffing his backpack, and when we heard this rustling it was from the closet, and he froze and looked at the closet, and whatever was inside came bursting out. Oh my God. Tommy. It was my brother Tommy. This isn't a dream. No. This is a memory. I was awake when Tommy died. He came bursting out of the closet with Chekhov's phaser, and he tried to stun the burglar. And the burglar, seeing this kid popping out and aiming a gun at him, he just shot him in panic and escaped out the window. I looked at Tommy, but the hole in his chest, it was huge, and I couldn't think. I just wandered around, and I must have crawled back into bed. And when my dad woke me up the next morning, I guess I must have just blocked it out. No wonder I blocked it out. I'm the reason Tommy died, don't you see? I was too lazy to keep him out of Dad's stuff, so I told him that stupid lie about the Star Trek props, and that they were real, and that's what got him killed. He tried to stun the burglar with Chekhov's gun because he thought it was a real working phaser.
Jennifer, you need to understand you are not responsible for your brother's death.
Not directly, but if I hadn't lied to him, he would still be alive. Why do you think my dream started 8 months ago instead of years ago?
I noticed that you got your dog Spock about 8 months ago. Is this the first time you've cared for someone since you used to look after your little brother?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is.
This explains quite a few things you mentioned.
So do you think my nightmares will stop now?
Now that your memory is out in the open, you can approach it in a healthy way. It should no longer interfere with your sleep.
Thank you.